What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to continue my 2023 college football predictions for the upcoming 2023 college football season. And up next, it's the Ohio State Buckeyes, a team that went to the college football playoff last year. And they were the team that really came close. You know, the only team really close last year to defeat the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, they lost that semifinal game to the Georgia Bulldogs by a point. So Ohio State just coming up shy of a national championship game appearance. But looking at this Ohio State team heading into this year, they're going to have a new quarterback. C.J. Stroud is gone, but they do got some options at quarterback. My prediction as of right now, I think Kyle McCord will be the starting quarterback for Ohio State. And plus, they got some weapons at wide receiver. I'm not too concerned about the offense for Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the top receivers, from last year coming back. That's a huge pickup for Ohio State. And also, I think Marvin Harrison is definitely one of the top wide receivers in the country heading into next year. The production they have coming back on the offense is not really great, but the defense is going to be really good on that side of the football. So let's get right into the schedule here for Ohio State for the 2023 season. Here's that schedule for the Buckeyes, again coming off an 11-2 record from last year. They'll play Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, and Notre Dame on the road in the non-conference. And then out of the Big Ten East, they'll play Purdue, Wisconsin, and also Minnesota at home. So they get one game at home out of the West. That's Minnesota, and they get their two West games both on the road. So let's go game by game here and give you an official prediction for this Ohio State team. And they'll start the things off here on the road at Indiana. So they kick off with a Big Ten game here on the road at Indiana. Indiana, I kind of don't expect to be all that good this year, even though they do return a decent amount of production on the defensive side of the football. But I just think Ohio State is way too talented this year, and also it's going to take Kyle McCord really some time here to get better as a starting quarterback as well. But, I think in this first game, Ohio State will really depend on the wide receivers a little bit to do all the work, and I think the Buckeyes do start things off here with a win against Indiana here on September the 2nd. And I also got them taking care of business here against Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, so I got the Buckeyes starting out 3-0. Heading into the Notre Dame game here on the road. Big non-conference matchup here. Probably one of the biggest non-conference games for me heading into week 4 of the 2023 season. Notre Dame's going to be a pretty good team this year. They do have a lot of transfers to help them out. Sam Hartman, also a veteran experienced quarterback. And this is definitely a tough road game here for a first-year quarterback for Kyle McCord if he is the starter. Whoever is the starting quarterback is going to have a really tough time in this tough crowd because they never played in a tough environment like this before. Notre Dame, this is going to be a really tough place to play for the Buckeyes. I think it's going to come down to the offense for Ohio State and obviously the offense for Notre Dame, but I think it's kind of similar to last year's matchup where it was a low-scoring type game and the defenses are just going to rule the day. But at the end of the day, with it being home field advantage and also a tough game to call, I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to pick the Irish here. I like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in this game. I don't think they're going to be favored, maybe perhaps by 3 points. Perhaps they are favored in this game, but I think Ohio State maybe is the favorite heading into this game as of right now since it is in the month of September. Plus, the teams are not better by this time, and I think Notre Dame will be ready for this one. And I got the Buckeyes losing this one on the road at Notre Dame, and I got the Buckeyes losing their first game of the season. And I got Notre Dame giving Ohio State their first loss of the season, I should say. Then they'll get a bye week after playing that game on the road at Notre Dame. Then they'll play Maryland here on October the 7th. So you're coming off a loss to Notre Dame and then coming off of a bye week. I think the Buckeyes will be ready. Even though the game was close last year against Maryland, I really don't see it being all that close this year. I know Maryland's going to be probably a decent team this year, but I got the Buckeyes winning here by maybe a couple touchdowns against the Maryland Terrapins. I know they bring back their starting quarterback, Taulia Tagovailoa. I know he's a talented quarterback. I just don't think he has what it takes to really go up against this defense for Ohio State. Next game on the road at Purdue on October the 14th. A brand new Purdue team, going to have a new head coach and also a new era coming in. But remember a few years ago where Ohio State came in to, take on Purdue? They lost that game. I really don't see that happening this year. I mean, you got a road game against Notre Dame, and I think they'll be ready for this one. Even though it's a tough place to play, I like Ohio State's chances in this game, and I got the Buckeyes winning this one on the road at Purdue. Next game, they'll play Penn State here on October the 21st. Last year's game, we talked about the turnovers for Penn State. If they didn't commit those turnovers, they could have possibly pulled off an upset against the Buckeyes, but Ohio State in the end came out on top. It was because of their defense, and I think that's kind of similar to last year. I think the defense will step up for Ohio State, and also the receivers will step up for the Buckeyes, and I think Ohio State does defeat Penn State here on October the 21st, and I got the Buckeyes now improving to 6-1. And they'll play on the road at Wisconsin here, and then they'll also play a road game against the Rutgers. So they got back-to-back road games. Not a tough back-to-back road games here, but this is definitely a tough road game here against Wisconsin on October the 28th. Wisconsin with Luke Fickell coming in. This team is getting a lot of hype coming into 2023. People are picking this Wisconsin team to win the Big Ten West. I mean, I have a really good shot to maybe make them my winner of the Big Ten West, but let's be honest. The Big Ten West is going to be wide open this year, but I just think the Buckeyes are really too talented, and also I think the wide receivers are going to be really huge in this game for Ohio State. I think, the Wisconsin defense will compete and all, but I think in the first half it will be close, but second half I got the Buckeyes pulling away from the Wisconsin Badgers, and I got Ohio State defeating Wisconsin here on October the 28th, so I got them now improving to 7-1. Next game on the road at Rutgers here on November 4th. I don't really see this game being all that close after a win against Wisconsin. I think the Buckeyes also will be ready for this game. I don't expect a lot out of the Rutgers this year. I think Ohio State defeats them easily here, and I got now them improving to 8-1. Then they'll play back-to-back home games here with Michigan State and Minnesota here in the Big Ten. Michigan State here on November the 11th. A decent amount of production coming back on the offensive side of the football for Michigan State. However, I don't know how good they're going to be, perhaps, because of the season they had from last year. And plus, they lost their starting quarterback now. He's transferred over to Auburn, so that's a huge loss for them. And with that being said, I think the Buckeyes with home field advantage will be ready for this one. And I got Ohio State defeating Michigan State here at home on November the 11th, and I got the Buckeyes now improving to 9-1. Minnesota after that on November 18th. Minnesota team that's going to be kind of sneaky, a little bit in the Big Ten West, but this is kind of a different Minnesota team than it was last year. Of course, they lose a lot of production from last year's team, and I just don't expect to see this game all that close either. I think it's kind of similar to the Rutgers game. I just don't see Minnesota competing against the Buckeyes, and plus the Buckeyes, I think their offense will be better by this time. The wide receivers start to really, get going, and I think the Buckeyes win this one here on November 18th, and I now got them improving to 10-1. Before playing the big game here on the road at Michigan State, Michigan. This is obviously the game that really decides the Big Ten, East every single year. And if you watch my Michigan video from yesterday, I had Michigan losing also a regular season game. So this game right here could decide the Big Ten East, like it always does every single year. Last year, Michigan got the better of Ohio State in the second half. It's kind of been back-to-back years that the Buckeyes have fallen apart in the second half. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think they can keep it close to the fourth quarter. However, I think with home field advantage, I think Michigan does defeat Ohio State here, and I got the Buckeyes losing on the road to Michigan, and this will be their third straight year that they've lost to the Wolverines. So I got the Ohio State Buckeyes finishing with an overall record of 10-2 in the 2023 season, but don't sleep on that road game against Wisconsin. It would be really a big shock to me if Ohio State did go 9-3. It wouldn't really be a big shock, though, if they did go 12-0. I think this Ohio State team is capable of going 12-0, but I think the schedule kind of gets to them with Notre Dame in the non-conference and then obviously Michigan on the road as well. Those are tough road games there against, those two teams. So I got Ohio State finishing with a record of 10-2. That's my official prediction for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let me guys know what you think about this Ohio State team. What do you think their overall record will be in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.